On today's episode of Phinside The NFL, rookie edge rushers Chop Robinson and Mo Kamara, man, they got drafted, and we thought that would be the duo, but Grayson Murphy, the man I've said all offseason is going to make this 53, is saying, hold on, wait a second, maybe I'm part of that dynamic duo. We are going to talk about that as Chop and that boy Grayson had a day today. Tua looked sharp in red zone drills and then took the podium for the first time since being paid. We will talk about some of the things he discussed. We'll go over clips, etc. Plus, we'll talk about what Mike McDaniel had to say after Tua's extension was done. We will talk about training camp in depth today as day 4, the first live practice open to fans has concluded. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Let's get into this one.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! The field on the near side, that open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. It's not over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Appreciate all y'all coming through today as the first live practice for fans has concluded. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to go over, man. I'm getting excited. I'm telling you, I was low-key telling the wife, man, I hope they get this Tua deal done before I come down for those joint practices. And seeing the energy in the crowd there today was unreal. I cannot wait to be there. In just a few weeks, I will be there for the joint practices between the Atlanta Falcons and the Miami Dolphins. I'll be there for both days. So if you're around, come by and say what's up. I cannot wait. Man, just so y'all know, I know I've been talking about debuting my new background since like December, and I was gunning for training camp. Definitely going to be debuting my new background sometime this August. I'm just tinkering. I have a few little things that I'm trying to do. I want it all to be completely done. I don't want it to be 90% done or 95% done. I want it to be 110% ready to go and my vision to be where I want it to be. And then I'll debut it. But I'm about like 70% done right now. So I'll wrap that up. At least we know we'll have it for the start of the regular season at the latest. And then, at the earliest, sometime in the month of August, when I get back, I'll finish doing things. So, man, I can't wait to debut that thing because, I got the first piece of it on Christmas Day, and I've been building towards this since then. So can't wait to debut that for all of y'all. Knight, member for 25 months. It says, great, back in further practice. Fins up. Give that another try, Knight. Give that another try, and I'll post it. You don't have to donate or whatever. Just give that one another go, and we'll get that up there, brother. All right. What's good, everyone? Listen, this was the kind of feeling on Friday, right, that the deal was done. And in case you didn't see, basically it's come out that, listen, I got a Patreon update that'll be coming tonight. That deal was not consummated until the morning of, right? That went down while he was out there. So there you go. Great back and forth practice, Fins up. That's pretty much it, right? Now I'll give defense a day because they had 4 turnovers today, I believe. So I will give them the day for sure. But man, Thank y'all for coming through. I also got to say this. Let me put my Siskel and Ebert hat on. If you have not had a chance to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, go watch that. That is the best Marvel movie easily since Endgame. That movie was absolutely fantastic from start to finish. Now, we originally had bought tickets to Twisters, and yesterday was a long, long day for me. I was barely on social media, and we ended up exchanging them because the wife bought tickets at the wrong theater. Ended up exchanging them for Deadpool and Wolverine, and unbelievable movie. Unbelievable movie. Shout out to Tony Rizzi. It was his birthday yesterday. Give Tony some love. Big supporter of the channel and myself. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Randy comes through. Randy Seidler says, Keon Smith was exclusively with the ones today. Same with Malik Washington. Look at that. Look at that. Love to see that. Attaboy, Randy. Drop the nuggets. Knight says, I love hearing about all the tip passes from a defensive standpoint. Yeah, it wasn't Tua's. The one that Holland picked off from Tua was tipped by Zach Sealer, wasn't it? Oh, yeah, it's good. Go check it out. You will not regret Deadpool and Wolverine. It's fantastic. Randy says Patrick Paul was not an unmitigated disaster. He's inconsistent, but way better than he was in college. That boy Butch getting to work. Oh, Chef, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. I'm telling you. Let's go. Randy says Chop looks fast off the ball, which is, we already knew that. And he's also inconsistent. Figured, right? You can work on the hand technique all you want all offseason, but until you start getting up against real live action, especially when the pads come on, that's when you start to see. But he will get sacks alone with that get off. It's great and will probably be elite soon. You already know what time it is. Chop, 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 baby. Chop. My biggest man crush of the draft. I had H.A. the year before and then in this year, and both get drafted. Love it. Absolutely love it. Knight says Twisters was good. If you saw we love the original movie. We love it. We love it. Yeah, listen. Now, let's be fair. There have been reports over the last couple of days he has got away with holding at times. It's great. I mean, the guy's an absolute mammoth of a man. Absolute mammoth of a man. Absolutely, ridiculous. That's why he even looks a little awkward, when he drops his butt, right? He's not obviously at that size. How flexible are you going to be? Brother, I wouldn't be comfortable with anyone behind this offensive line, but Tua mitigates a little of the deficiencies with his quick release time and his fast processing. This is why I think you see guys like Darren Orlovsky say there's maybe only 5 quarterbacks in the NFL who can run that. Think of how quick your trigger has to be. Listen, we'll make it work until they fix it. What can we do? I'm not comfortable with anyone behind that offensive line. That's just where it is. So I would say that about anyone back there. If I could go back, would I drafted Payne over Jalen? Listen, they got Austin Jackson on the right side. So listen, obviously Austin Jackson is not in Penei Sewell's stratosphere. That's a tough one. Honestly, that's a tough one. That really is, because I'm a fan of both. I was defending both because both were my favorite picks with that pick. That's a tough one. I defended both tooth and nail during the draft process. So, and I don't think Austin Jackson is elite or great, but he does the job. Now, like I've said all offseason since Robert Hunt left, we're going to find out exactly how good Austin Jackson is, because no longer does he have that anchor beside him off his left shoulder. So that's just with Austin Jackson. Honestly, that's a tough one, really, because Jalen Waddle's a top 10 receiver. Penei Sewell's a top 10 tackle, and him and Wirfs are probably the best right tackles in football. And the good thing about Waddle is when you want to move off Tyreek in a year or two, you've already got the heir apparent to the throne already in the building. So, that's a tough. Listen, I can't give you an answer because both players were my biggest man crushes of that draft in that first round for the Miami Dolphins. That's just where it is. I don't know. At the time when they drafted Waddle, they did not have Tyreek. You can't forecast. That's using hindsight with Tyreek, bringing him into the equation, right? So I don't know. Listen, I would have been happy with both. So that's where I'm at with that. That's a tough one for me because I literally defended both of these guys against Dolphin fans and non-Dolphin fans because they both had various reasons why they should have been the pick. Knight says, gifted one Phinside the NFL membership, and that went to Ted S. Appreciate you, Ted. And Knight, thank you guys for watching. Knight expanding the community, so I appreciate that. So, listen, I don't know. No, Jalen was the move at the time. See, here's the thing. Reason Jalen was not the move. No, you're using hindsight now. We did not have Tyreek Hill, and we did not have Mike McDaniel when they selected Jalen Waddle. We had no weapons. You're being unfair because you're using hindsight. If you go back to 2021, we had no weapons. So you can't sit here and say that Jalen was not the move. You can't. Tyreek Hill was not in the building. Mike McDaniel was not in the building. That's a total hindsight stance you're taking. So you can't say that, man. Again, this is why both of them had their reasons for being drafted. We had no weapons at the time for Waddle, and Austin Jackson was on the left side at the time, not the right. So you needed a right tackle and you need a wide receiver one. Waddle was originally drafted to be the wide receiver one. We didn't have Tyreek Hill yet. So you can't use that's using hindsight. That's all that is. And that is a ignorant and incorrect way of looking at things. So I can't get on board with that statement. Is Waddle a true number one? 110%. 110%. Waddle has, over the last 2 years, okay, Waddle has what? The 10th most receiving yards in the NFL, the second highest yards per game average. Yards per reception average. I apologize. He has one less receiving touchdown than Justin Jefferson. And he's had far less targets than Tyreek Hill, and he's had to put up with Tyreek Hill in the building. Devontae Smith putting up with A.J. Brown in the building is not top 10 in yards over the last 2 years. And Devontae Smith has all the tools to be a number one. We got a 1A and a 1B. It's very similar to what I went through with the Penguins with Crosby and Malkin. 1A, 1B in terms of centers. We have 1A and 1B wide receivers. That's what we have. That's it. That's just what it is right there. So, whatever it is, it is. Again, I defended both players tooth and nail. You could make a case for both players at the time when you go back. Using hindsight doesn't do anyone any favors. So, And again, where we're at with the offensive line, go look at what they do in San Francisco. Go look at what Chris Forrester and their belief system is. Why do you think they brought in Trent Williams? They paid one guy, and then next to him they put a bunch of guys who, if they were going to get paid, they ended up like McGlinchey, they let go get paid somewhere else. And who was our Trent Williams? Teron Armstead. The problem is he can't stay healthy. That's the problem with Teron Armstead. He can't stay healthy. That's the issue. Teron Armstead was supposed to be our Trent Williams in this offense, and he just cannot stay healthy. And again, go do the research. Trent Williams was viewed as washed up and broken down and damaged goods when he went to San Francisco. Mike McDaniel and Chris Forrester rejuvenated and revitalized Trent Williams' career. Look what they had to give up for Trent Williams. Not very much in terms of a trade. Trent Williams was viewed as damaged goods and broken down and ready to be discarded by Washington. San Fran said, okay, cool, thanks, boom. And when Teron Armstead is healthy, Teron Armstead's a top 3 tackle in the game. Like, that's not even a discussion. When he's healthy. So, that's just what it is. Anyways, let's continue. Let's get into this. We got a lot. No, we do not need DVP, Pyro. No one needs DVP. That's why he's out of the league. Don't you put that bad mojo on me, Pyro. All right? We don't need Teron Armstead at the wide receiver position, too. You know what I mean? So, stop with that. Don't you dare wish that DVP upon me. All right? So, let's get into this. We got a lot to go over. Let's start off with the first news of the day, and that being this. The Miami Dolphins officially activated David Long off the physically unable to perform list. So there you go. Just like music, baby. Just like music. David Long already back at it. And why does this matter? Because, man, David Long, all right, David Long and Jordan Brooks, we want them to be one of the best linebacking duos in the NFL. And, man, their athleticism and their ability to their movement skills, and I'm excited to see these two working together. And you want to talk about David Long, a guy who he's been through it, and that guy, man, he hits you so hard. He wants your family tree, every branch in your family tree to feel it. So I'm glad to see it. You know, I expect big things out of Jordan Brooks, David Long, and Anthony Walker. Those three. Is Channing Tindall going to show us something this year? It's about time. Armstead would be a future Hall of Famer if he could stay healthy. Unfortunately, he can't. So I don't know if he'll make it. But he is, as you said, top 3. Yeah, when he's healthy, he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. You know what I mean? He's so good when he's healthy. He's fantastic. So, a huge fan of Teron Armstead when he's healthy. But we need you to be healthy. All right, and like Tony Rizzi says, he's good, but he's no Richmond Webb. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Now with this linebacking core, listen. Everyone knows I wanted Leo Chanel. I did not, and he went the next pick after Channing Tindall. Channing Tindall, he's got the traits. He's toolsy. Is Anthony Weaver going to be the guy that puts it together? We know how Fangio is. Fangio doesn't give young guys, for the most part, time of day. Like, Ethan Bonner was like a rarity in Fangio's coaching tenure across the league and across decades. Ethan Bonner was like a rarity in terms of a young guy getting the type of looks he did. All right, especially compared to his status. So, you know, we will see with Channing Tindall. We will see 110% with Channing Tindall. We need to start seeing something with him. I wanted Leo Chanel. Leo Chanel was playing in the Super Bowl next to the man crush that I wanted the year before in Nick Bolton. Everyone knows I was driving that Nick Bolton train because that was my guy. Curtis Bolton. They added Curtis Bolton. Don't make me forget. Trust me. So, you know, back-to-back years we could have switched to fix this linebacking core. But, hey, better late than never. And when you see what's going on at camp right now with the Bills and how they're targeting tight ends at camp a lot right now. I mean, some of the highlights coming out are pure tight end highlights. We're going to need these guys. And I think we got the right guys that are going to be able to cover tight ends, because I think that's going to be the game plan unless they land a big fish in Buffalo. The wide receiver spot, the game plan is, ease Coleman in, Curtis Samuel is a number 2, but it's going to be feeding Dalton Kincaid season. So we'll see. Linebacking core getting healthy. Love to see it. Love to see it. Now, Mike McDaniel. All right? Mike McDaniel. He spoke about Tua Tagovailoa's new contract, its impact on him and the team, as well as other things. So, just before Sunday's practice and a couple of days after the news broke on Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's 4-year extension, Coach Mike McDaniel spoke at length about Tagovailoa's new deal, its impact on him, the team, and expectations for the future. McDaniel commented on whether he thought Tagovailoa's deal was team-friendly, saying it was the hope for the organization and that he was fired up for Tagovailoa. McDaniel called it a cool validation for sure, and he praised on quarterbacks coach Darrell Bevell and the work he has done with Tagovailoa in helping his development. McDaniel said he's happy the deal was made and it's time to move forward. It's a handshake and a smile, but it's not a celebration. It's time to move forward, McDaniel said. He was so happy when he heard the news of the deal being done. He hugged and lifted Tagovailoa, causing him to spill his coffee. It was a cool moment, to say the least. I'm of unassuming stature, but when I get enough adrenaline, I can get enough strength where I can surprise some people. My hug surprised him enough where he spilled his coffee. The moment wasn't planned, but it's definitely something you remember. It's hard not to have a lot of time pass through your mind fast. It was something really cool to share. He was coordinated enough not to spill it on me. I basically suplexed him. McDaniel also spoke of Tagovailoa and whether he can handle the expectations that come with such a contract. It's absolutely the nature of what you should expect. Tua knows that. His teammates can know that, and they already have pressure and expectations for themselves. As long as you acknowledge that, and Tua has shown me throughout the offseason that he knows what time it is. Hopefully, he and all of his teammates can determine what the narrative is built upon by the way they play. McDaniel said he felt outstanding about his career evaluation being tied to Tagovailoa's potential success. He said he will always be evaluated by the success of the team. It's not something you run from, you embrace it. There's plenty of people who could be a coach of the team and lose a ton of games. You have to be successful, and I knew that the very first day I got the job. Whatever comes with the narrative, it doesn't bother me. McDaniel also spoke of Tagovailoa's personal journey overcoming adversity early in his career. One of the absolute main reasons you get into coaching, you hope you can help people realize their best selves. For him to be in this part of the journey with the growth, that's why you do what you do. It's really cool for this organization and for Tua, for a man that puts in a lot of hours and made a lot of investment. It's a cool moment that we had a couple of high fives, and then moving on to today's practice. McDaniel said he's not heard Tagovailoa thank him by name on social media after his deal was done. It's humbling, but hard for me to expect that fully without babbling about all the people that are instrumental in the process, like Coach Darrell Bevell, who's been instrumental in this process. McDaniel said having fans in attendance for the first time in this year's training camp at Sunday's practice would bring more energy. It's always after a long break, and it's always fun. That gives you some juice. I'm really excited for that, and the team knows they're coming, and we should get some extra juice on top of what we've had in every practice. McDaniel commented on linebacker Anthony Walker Jr. getting more reps in camp, with David Long out and being trusted to wear the orange jersey in practice. Long was activated from the physically unable to perform list on Sunday. I love this guy. He won his teammates over by how he goes about his business in the offseason. He has been able to execute fundamentals and help the group in a lot of situations. You hear it from the coach and one time from a teammate. He's been able to elevate his game while bringing others along with him. He's had his hands on multiple passes. I think you'll see the interceptions start coming. Though hey, listen, we just talked about the linebackers. Like hearing that. McDaniel updated on Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb's rehab process and said they've had no setbacks as each tries to work their way back from injuries. McDaniel said the concern was them trying to come back too soon, but said they are a fixture around practice as they conduct the rehab work. McDaniel also praised center Aaron Brewer's work in practice so far, saying he could be a weapon in the running game this season. So there you go. They're going to pull him a little bit for sure. You're going to see him moving. I mean, he gets to that second level really quickly. Now, I kind of talked about this where McDaniel was talking about, the nature of the business. You want to help people realize themselves and their best selves. Listen, what's amazing about this situation, people, we got to talk about this for a sec. What's amazing about where we're sitting at today, I'm sitting there, I'm watching Tua's presser, and his son Ace is running around behind him. And I'm sitting there, I've been watching the film, the live games and the All-22 since he's at Bama. I've watched this kid hardcore since that game-winning throw in the national championship. And just to see where he's come from, it's honestly awesome to see him now solidified and paid as a franchise quarterback. After the hip injury at college, in college at Alabama, he was told there were people concerned if he'd ever be the same again. The concussions a couple years ago, people pushing, should he keep playing? Through all of that, he's got better every offseason. He's worked so hard. He's at perfecting his craft and fixing the flaws the media or the talking voices make a lot of noise about, or that even he and his people notice in his game. And he led the league in passing yards. You look at the journey, and now I'm watching this guy after he gets paid, and he's got his family and his kids are running around. Just to see the growth as not only the football player, but the human being of our franchise quarterback and the adversity he's overcome, man, it's a special story. Not a lot of people could come back from the things that he's come back from. I mean, he's come back from some mentally tough and trying times and some mentally trying times on his body. And he's turned it around into what we're seeing, the league leader in pass. He's led the NFL in passing. He's led the NFL in passer rating. I mean, you just from an athletic standpoint, you gotta give him props, man. Just from an athletic standpoint, you gotta give him props. Not many people would come back from that. So, man, I gotta give him his props. It's so impressive. Just not many athletes would come back from those kind of injuries. It's ridiculous. So, man, shout out to him. So let's get into highlights from today's camp. All right? Let's get into highlights from today's camp. I got over 3 minutes worth of highlights. So let's play this for you from the moment they took the field to Tua. Everything. So let's get into it. Here's some moments. My plug wasn't there at camp today, so this is what I got.
Let's go, man.
Jeff Wilson Jr. rocking the orange jersey. Darrell Bevell dared him to do it and said he wouldn't do it. That's why he dropped that.
We're going to need you guys to hype us up. It's hot out here. And keep the chants going. Let's go.
Look at this, the new cornerback duo. Kendall Fuller and Jalen Ramsey, baby, chopping it up. Love it. All right, some one-on-ones. Ooh, Waddle with the inside move. Look at that. Oh. Broken up back to the end zone. Another angle of that throw earlier. Back to the end zone all day, baby. Dime. Oh. Braxton Berrios with the catch back to the end zone. Waddle back of the end zone on Ramsey.
I think you're done. One more? One more here. Go ahead. Good. I thought you were done.
Tua gonna go deep here. Oh! Ramsey in coverage, but man, you gotta make that catch. No look to Mostert. Let's go. Tua back in the end zone all day, baby. Tua back in the end zone again, baby. Gotta love the love. All right, check this one out. Look at Tua on the move a little bit, little mobile. Ooh, finds his man, touchdown. Waddle. Raheem Mostert gonna bust it up the middle. Let's go. So there are your highlights from today's session. Some nice ball placement. Man, let's go, baby. Let's go. So let's get right into it. Let's get into the training camp report. All right. Let's hop over to the Miami Herald first. This is what they said. So here's news, notes, and observations from day 4 of Dolphins training camp. The Miami Dolphins began the first open practice for the fans with a rousing speech from Tua, who yelled, "Show me the money," as the crowd cheered on his new extension. When the action began, Tagovailoa and the Dolphins offense took advantage of first-team defense in red zone specific day. On one play in red zone drills, Tagovailoa stepped up, evaded pressure, and threw an 8-yard touchdown pass to Jalen Waddle. Tagovailoa also connected on a shovel pass to Achane for some respectable yards on a play. Emmanuel Ogbah was in the backfield but couldn't slap the ball. Braylon Sanders also scored a toe tap touchdown in the back of the end zone on a throw from Tua Tagovailoa. Kader, who got beat on the perfectly placed ball on the pass. Tagovailoa couldn't connect on a deep pass to Waddle in early 11-11 work thanks to some tight coverage from Elijah Campbell, who broke up the pass. Mike White had one of the other touchdown passes of the session to a wide-open Tanner Connor, who continues to flash in practice. The defense had its moments, which led to 4 turnovers. Zach Sealer deflected one of Tagovailoa's passes, and Javon Holland recorded another interception off a deflection. Isaiah Mack intercepted a white pass that was intended for Jaquan Burton and ran it back into scoring territory. Grayson Murphy forced a bad exchange between White and Jalen Wright, and the defense recovered the fumble. Ethan Bonner recovered a backward pass that Skylar Thompson threw, and Cam Smith exited practice early and was taken to the locker room with the help of a trainer. So Cam Smith has been hurt. Now, I don't believe he returned to camp at all today. I believe he stayed out. So that is interesting. Now, he talked about Grayson Murphy forcing the fumble there. All right? It wasn't just that. Grayson Murphy had a couple sacks today. All right? He was, winning by crossing the face of linemen. He was winning today. Grayson Murphy was having a damn good day. So, he's out here, forcing fumbles, and he's out here racking up sacks. So Grayson Murphy is making a big impact early on. To be honest with you, I've heard more things about him than I have about Mo Kamara. Now, we're going to talk about Chop in a bit here, but Chop Robinson, he was getting around Patrick Paul today for, he got 2 plays in a row where he had consecutive pressures. Chop Robinson was just getting them. He was also, on a Jeff Wilson Jr. carry today, he set the edge, right? And, he let Duke Riley fill the gap. And I know we had some comments earlier from someone who was at camp today, and Keon Smith was working with the ones, right? That's what we saw. Chop Robinson got across Keon Smith's face on an inside rush today at the beginning of camp. So Chop Robinson is getting pressures. Grayson Murphy's getting pressures, and these guys are getting sacks too. So we thought it would be Mo Kamara and Chop, and it's turning out right now, at least early on, the pads have not come on. But right now, Chop and Grayson Murphy, they had a pretty big day. Chop Robinson plays where he's having consecutive back-to-back pressures on Patrick Paul. Then with the ones, he's getting pressures on Keon Smith, getting around him quite easily. And then Grayson Murphy racking up a sack and forcing a fumble today. That's a big day for 2 rookie edge rushers just a couple days into practice. So shout out to them, man. Amanda says, reason does Tua look more nimble? Yes, he does. Tua does look more nimble and quicker. 110%. That's something that was a key working point for him in this offseason, right? No, I think both can make the team. I think we're actually going to end up having a hard decision at edge between Quentin Bell, Mo Kamara, Chop, and Grayson Murphy. They're going to have a hard decision here. This ain't going to be easy. And you love to see that early on in camp. Now, let's hope when the pads come on, they continue to make it a difficult situation for the coaches when it comes to cutting down bodies. So, man, but Chop Robinson, Grayson Murphy, massive days today. Pressures, sacks, and a forced fumble between the 2 of them. Love it. Love it, man. So, that's what the Miami Herald said today regarding training camp. Let's keep it going. We ain't done by a long shot. We got a lot to go over still. So, here is what the Sun Sentinel said today about training camp. Dolphins go run heavy in first training camp practice open to fans, and other observations from Sunday's session. And they got their stock up, stock down. It was the first training camp practice open to fans and first one for quarterback Tua Tagovailoa since signing his big contract extension. You'd think that meant Miami Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel was going to let Tagovailoa air it out for a fireworks display, but it was actually a run-heavy day of work. That much was fitting on a sweltering Sunday morning in which running back Jeff Wilson Jr. wore the orange jersey. Wilson put on another fine performance Sunday, taking several handoffs and pitches for sizable gains. The physical runner is benefiting from shedding some pounds in the offseason. He's running more freely, and it should help him get to the outside in Miami's wide zone run scheme. With Sunday's session being the first of camp open to the fans, Tagovailoa officially signed his contract extension this morning, agreeing to terms Friday, greeted the Dolphin fans by taking the microphone for a few words. Among his comments, show me the money. It's also customary for rookies to uplift the crowd before drills. Malik Washington and Jaquan Burton did their part, with Malik Washington doing a somersault. A highlight throw from Tagovailoa came when he found Braylon Sanders in the back corner of the end zone. Sanders skied for the catch over Kader Kohu. Tagovailoa was intercepted at one point in the red zone drills, having a pass tip near the line of scrimmage by defensive tackle Zach Seiler, and then intercepted by Javon Holland. Other Dolphins turnovers were garnered by outside linebacker Grayson Murphy, picking up a fumbled exchange and getting multiple sacks. Grayson Murphy having a day, baby. Defensive tackle Isaiah Mack came up with an interception that ricocheted off Jaquan Burton on a bobble. Ethan Bonner picked up a backward pass from backup quarterback Skylar Thompson. That was low to the running back. Tagovailoa showed some agility, escaping pressure in the red zone and rolling right to find an open Jalen Waddle in the flat for a touchdown. He also had a pair of flip shovel passes to running back Devon Achane. One possibly a no-look. Tagovailoa tried to go deep a couple of times in 11-11. One going to Waddle was broken up by Elijah Campbell. Holland was on coverage for an incomplete pass to Achane. A one-on-one red zone period was highlighted by the Jalen Ramsey-Waddle matchup. Ramsey got the better of his counterpart the first time, but Waddle won the pairing 2-1 with touchdowns the following two instances, including one where he left Ramsey behind him biting the wrong way. Backup quarterback Mike White found Tanner Connor wide open for a touchdown in red zone. Rookie edge rusher Chop Robinson has sacked early on in 11-11 drills today. He also beat Keon Smith in a lineman one-on-one. He exploded with a great first step off the line ladder, but it was a run play and he didn't seal the edge. Robinson got around fellow rookie Patrick Paul on a couple of times for pressure. So Grayson Murphy and Chop Robinson stacking sacks, stacking pressures. Grayson gets a fumble. Love it, baby. Let's go. 11-11s started with Jeff Wilson Jr. breaking off a nice run out the middle. Running back Raheem Moser later went for a long gain. The run-heavy period also saw rookie Jalen Wright break off a big one. So there you go. Jalen Wright making some noise today too. Tight end Jonnu Smith was seen going off for a nice run to the outside, coming for a handoff in the red zone. Veteran defensive lineman Calais Campbell had a good-looking tackle for a loss. He and linebacker Anthony Walker Jr. made back-to-back stops at one point. Another case of penetration against the run came from fellow linebacker Jordan Brooks. Let's go. Let's go. Calais Campbell making stops. Anthony Walker making back-to-back stops. Jordan Brooks making stops. Let's go. Linebackers making plays in the run game, baby. Oh, life after Jerome Baker. Love it. When linemen did one-on-ones, Deshaun Hand was bulldozing Liam Eichenberg and shoving him down. Well, that's not very good. Undrafted rookie Storm Duck had a pass breakup in the one-on-one setting. Star wide receiver and Tyreek Hill had a maintenance day today, though he was seen he did not practice. And cornerback Cam Smith was walking off the practice field into team facilities. Jeff Wilson, he boosted his stock, now stringing together a couple of strong performances. He looks more nimble, running at the new weight, which will work well in Mike McDaniel's outside zone scheme, while he hopefully maintains his physicality. Stock down. Rookie second-round tackle Patrick Paul has struggled at times early in camp, and at one point on Sunday, fellow rookie Chop Robinson got around him easily on back-to-back team reps. Paul is in a position where he's in a learning year without him, without the expectations of starting, as Miami has set tackled duo of Taron Armstead and Austin Jackson, and it was known Paul would be a bit of a project starting off. So Chop Robinson having such a good day. He's bringing down the stock of other players. Love it, baby. Few things to talk about. One, I told y'all they're going to carry four. It's going to be Achane, Mostert, Wright, and Jeff Wilson Jr. Sorry, Chris Brooks. They're going to try and slide him on the practice squad. I can already see it now. But, you know, we knew off things I was hearing, and then when Barry Jackson dropped that nugget a couple of months ago, they have been looking to keep Jeff Wilson Jr. So that really shouldn't shock anyone. I don't think, at least. All right. That's just is what it is, you know, and they're throwing bodies at that room. So one of these guys has got to be healthy for the playoff run, or at least two. Right? Like that's pretty much where we're going with this. Just saying. Tagovailoa sharp in red zone drills. Man, I just love how much we're hearing about the rookie. And another thing I want to talk to, Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith got a couple of handoffs today out of the backfield. Not just the one Ferone has mentioned. He got a couple. Jonnu Smith looks like they're going to, it's kind of like what they were planning with Eric Izakama, right? They wanted to use Eric Izakama as a tight end in certain roles, as a receiver out of the slot in certain roles, out of the backfield. It looks like they're just doing that with Jonnu and what they have. So, Jonnu, baby. Very interesting that they're using Jonnu Smith out of the backfield. Another big threat. Love it. Love it. Here's what the Palm Beach Post said today. They said the Miami Dolphins had their fourth training camp practice. This was the first practice open to fans, and they were welcomed with a brief address by Tua Tagovailoa. Fans chanted, "Let's go Dolphins," and Tua. Running back Jeff Wilson wore the orange jersey. Tyreek Hill had on Veterans Rest Day. Jalen Waddle and Ramsey went back and forth in one-on-ones. Fans roared as Tua had a nice completion in one-on-ones. Jeff Wilson Jr. had a burst run through the middle. Jalen Phillips fired up the crowd when he came out onto the field. Tagovailoa was unable to complete a long ball to Jalen Waddle as Elijah Campbell was involved in quality coverage. Tua was unable to complete a long ball to Devon Achane, with Javon Holland involved in coverage. Wright looked quick on an outside run. Tua completed an 8-yard touchdown pass to Waddle in the red zone drill. Cam Smith left the field with a trainer. Tanner Connor caught a touchdown from Mike White, and he says he's an intriguing prospect. Tua completed a red zone touchdown to tight end Fortson. Javon Holland had an interception on a tip pass from Tua, and Isaiah Mack had an interception off Mike White. So Palm Beach Post not really telling us anything that weren't covered in the other ones, right? So let's get into Tua and his presser. I clipped up some of the highlights from his press conference. Let's go over them because he did say a few interesting things that I want to talk about. Let's get into this.
You've led the NFL in passing yards. You've led the NFL in passer rating. You started in the Pro Bowl. What's the next step for you?
This is a great answer.
In your career?
Well, we haven't won the games that we wanted to win. You know, deep into the playoffs, get deep into the playoffs. Win the games that matter. That's what I would say. All of that is cool, but I could have been the worst, had the worst passer rating. I could have, threw for 1,000 yards. But if we were in those games and we were winning those big time games, and we got to go and win the championship, I mean, I'd trade all of that. I'd trade all of that for that.
When you reflect back on all those throws with your dad growing up to this moment, what goes through your mind?
Well, I'm actually very grateful for the setup that my dad had given me. There's been a number of times that, after school, I'd have to try to, do my homework as fast as I can, because once my father was home, it wasn't about school. Like, your mind better be ready to go and practice. And when you practice, you had to practice a certain way. And if it wasn't to his standard, then it was like, okay, I know I'm going to have to do extra work, or if I didn't have to do extra work, we were going to have a talk, that's for sure. So, I just can remember after football games, if I didn't have a good game, my dad would send me to a throwing camp, and I'd go straight from my football game to a throwing camp in my pads, and I wouldn't be with the kids the same age as me. I'd be with the kids older than me. So, like, I was kind of nervous, like, okay, like, I'm nervous to go with the older guys, because if I throw and I don't throw it right, the older guys are going to say something, and my mind is like, okay, I want to fit in with these older guys. But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I want to go through all that stress. Maybe I should just stick with the younger guys. And so one thing I didn't want my dad to do was my dad to come down and force me to go and throw with those guys, or tell whatever coach it was there, like, no, my son's going to go throw with these older guys. And so I was just more afraid of the standard that was set for, me by my dad. But it's helped me become who I am today with how I see the game. And I'm grateful for that part that my dad has helped me with.
to it
Well,
yet
I'd like
along
to
those
ask you
lines.
a little bit more about Mike's role in all of this.
Listen to this. He basically admits Mike went to bat for him.
Yeah.
McDaniel went to bat.
You come to this point. He has always said his job.
This is an
to
interesting
help
point.
Players get paid.
Correct.
And now the biggest contract in franchise history.
Yeah.
What does that say about Mike and his relationship with you?
Well, I think it says a lot. Word gets around quick, and I don't think he knows that I know. But I've been told from several birdies that are, here in the facility that are upstairs as well, that he went to bat for me the day that I went out and practiced 11 on 11, 7 on 7 before we went on that little break.
There you
He
go.
went to bat for me with, our owner, and, I won't go into details of things that I heard were said, but just know, like, he is what he
I told
says.
you there's no way he wouldn't.
He says what he told me, and he did what I was thinking he would do for me, and not just for me, but for any other player. So I'm very grateful for that.
So now that you have the backing of the organization, the backing of the fans, getting this deal done, what's next for you? Like, what's the best part about having all this done and kind of looking forward to the next, hopefully get this organization that playoff win and the bigger picture, winning it all?
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what we're looking forward to. Now that all of this is done, this is behind us, we know, like, heavy is the crown, so whoever's wearing that, like, right now, I'm the highest paid employee in this office. Like, I mean, I got to get my, whatever together. I got to get that right and get our guys moving in the direction that we need to go, to be able to do those things. So
I did want to know, there's an emphasis put on mobility.
For all you talking about leaner and mobility.
Trying to work on the mobility. What do you think that will do for your game?
Well, I think that'll do a lot. Being more mobile, being able to run the ball a little more, being able to, try to simulate that I am trying to run the ball and then pull up and, able to catch someone off guard in a way. I just think being more mobile, being lighter on your feet, all of that helps with this game. And, everything in this game helps. So that's sort of the thought there.
Listen, I don't even think we've seen the best version of this kid yet. I mean, while he was going through the frustration of negotiating a new deal, he started putting in the work with 3D QB. Listen, I'm telling you, the pressure of the expectations and of this deal, I think the iron's gonna sharpen iron here. I think this is gonna make Tua a better quarterback. I think this is gonna make Tua he's already a great leader. It's gonna make him an even better leader. I think Tua already knows what time it is. He knows this ain't, sign the deal, go cash the check and live life. No. The way Tua was raised, and you heard how he talked about his dad, now it's about proving everyone the Miami Dolphins are right to give him that paycheck. Like, this ain't done. The growth and development of this kid is not done. Remember, he came into the league behind the curve compared to the other guys of his draft class. Well, the other guys of his draft class were taking in the playbook, were taking in reps with the offense, were working to get ready for the start of the season. Tua Tagovailoa is rehabbing, just trying to be able to play that season. He was already behind the 8 ball. And now you see him catching up. And what is he doing? Leading the league in passing. Leading the league in passer rating. Last 2 years, putting up top 5 statistical numbers in every major category. Like, he understands. You listen to what he says there. This guy understands what now comes with signing your name on that piece of paper for that extension. Like, I'm actually kind of hyped after listening to him. How many times did he mention, I showed you, listen, I chopped up a 22-minute interview into like just over 5 minutes for you, but I made sure to include every clip where he talked about now the time is to win. Everything that's behind him, now it's about winning. This kid knows what needs to happen now. And that's W's on the board. And he knows the expectations just got realer. He mentioned about how he's the highest paid employee in the facility. The guy knows. Listen, you haven't even seen the best version of Tua Tagovailoa yet. Man, I'm so excited to watch this kid in action this year. This team is going to start off like 7-1 or 8-0. Mark my words. They're going to start off again like what we've seen. It's how they do on the back half of that. When they start getting into the January months, right? 9-7 in December, 1-3 in January. We need to start winning in January. You just got to give him... I don't know how you don't get hype, man. This guy realizes... What I love is he realizes what's on the line. It's not just another day. I love it. Love it, man. So, Kendall Lamm, after practice, he was asked about Chop Robinson. I want to pivot back to the rookie edge rushers a little bit here and give them their flowers, man.
But at the same time, I can see why he had so much success at Penn State. I mean, he gets into you, he coming off the line. The speed off the line is very, very good. For a lot of young rushers, you know, they have to really and truly learn our ranges, learn how we're going to block them. Because a lot of tackles in college, they're going to have but I'm going to show you 3, 4, 5 sets every play. You saw one set from me, I'm going to switch it up. I might throw a left hand at you if I'm at left tackle, might go with the right hand. Might hit you with independent hands, it just depends. So, like, to build that Rolodex in his mind, you always see with young rushers, I mean, it takes time for them to learn us as tackles in the NFL. But you can definitely see why Chop is what he is, because his get-off is phenomenal.
Is he asking you guys questions after?
Oh, for sure. I mean, when you see him out there, Chop seems real quiet, real to himself, but Chop asks all the time. Like, when we break down film in the meeting room, he's always picking your brain, always wants to know. So, yeah, you know, since they call me OG now, I'm here to spread knowledge if they need it.
Kendall, the rookie on
Chop asking the right questions. Man, this kid is going to light it up year one. I'm telling you, he is going to be a pressure magnet in year one. Watch. Especially when Phillips comes back. When Phillips is eating up that's why I kind of hope Phillips is there for week one. Now, I don't want him rushed back. But if he's good to go week one, and this is why, the doubles are going to go to that side. The majority of the attention is going to go to that side. Give me Chop one-on-one with how many elite right tackles are there in the NFL once you get past Wirfs and Panay? Two guys I both wanted, but still, nonetheless. How many elite right tackles are there? Usually, the elite tackles get thrown to the left because that's a blind spot. Man. Chop is going to absolutely. If we see this continue when the pads come on, if I was an offensive guard or tackle, and I have them on my schedule this year, I'd be worried. Chop Robinson, man. And who better than Anthony Weaver and how you've seen him develop and grow defensive line players over in Baltimore. My God. And I've been talking about this kid since November on this channel. You watch the film of Chop, you see it, man. You see it. And this is now like multiple days of Chop Robinson having impact plays. And this is multiple days of Grayson Murphy having impact plays. Love it. Love it, man. Remember, the film says all you need to know about Chop. And with Grayson Murphy, you got the film, but he also number one pressure generator in college football last year. So it's not like these are catching us by surprise. It's just nice to see them coming to fruition. All right, let's get into some contract discussion here for a sec. Because after I was done going live yesterday and breaking down the details of Tua Tagovailoa's new contract, Spot Track dropped a fantastic article I want to get into. Reason, what is your week 1 starting defensive line? Okay, I got a question for you, Amanda. I'm obviously counting our outside linebackers, right? I'm obviously counting our outside linebackers, right? Just put in the chat, Amanda. Am I counting our outside linebackers? Right? Like, am I counting 5 across? Or are you just asking me, if we're going with a 3 or 4 man front? Am I basically doing a 5 edge on each side and 3 in between them? What do you want? Because I'll give you either way. You let me know in the chat. You don't have to donate. Just put in the chat, what do you want? What do you want me to explain to you? If you want 5 across, you want the front 3, front 4, what do you want? You got to let me know. Because I'll give you... Remember, I also want to say this too. Starting defensive line, it's more about who gets the reps. Right? Like, I could start at outside linebacker and then... Sorry, I could not start at outside linebacker and then I end up with 70 or 80% of the reps. Okay, you want 5 across, right? So, listen, and I don't want no problem with anyone here, okay? I'm just letting you know how I see this going down, all right? Because I don't think Chubb will be there. And I don't know if Jalen Phillips will be there. So let me say this. I'll give you 2 scenarios. If Jalen Phillips is good to go, this is pretty much where I'd be looking at. I think you'd see an interior of Sealer and then Tier Tart and then Calais Campbell. And outside of them, I think you'd see Phillips on one side. And this is what's going to surprise people. I think you'd see Ogba on the other side starting. Now, as the game goes on, I think you'd see Chop get his reps. If Phillips is not in, all right, I think you see on the interior, Zach Seiler, Tier Tart, Calais Campbell. And then if Phillips isn't there, I think you see Ogba. And that's when I think you see Chop probably being the other guy. Now, the wild card in that scenario, if Phillips isn't out there, is if Quentin Bell makes the 53. Because that's what I think can happen. That's what I think could throw a wrench in this. Is Quentin Bell's been making some noise too. So those are the scenarios I see. Good question though, Amanda. I appreciate that. Like it. But if Phillips is healthy, it's going to be Phillips and Ogba starting. Just because, the experience, right? And then if Phillips isn't out, it's going to be Chop or Quentin Bell probably. And, hell, Grayson Murphy and Chop could absolutely continue to blow it up when pads come on. And, hell, they could be the starting if they keep going when the pads come on, right? So that's how I see the front 5 going. And I give you 2 scenarios with Phillips and without Phillips. All right? So let's get into this. I had this Spot Track article I wanted to go over with you guys. Listen, I broke down all the numbers, every detail available, but I think this article too is one that you guys should be put in front of you guys' face to give you more context of everything, right? So this is where I'm at. Check this out right here, okay? So let me just hold on. All right. We'll get that there. All right, breaking down Tua Tagovailoa's contract extension for you go. So let's get into the extension terms. Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins came to terms on a 4-year, $212.4 million extension yesterday that keeps the quarterback under contract through the 2028 season. It easily surpasses Tyreek Hill in as the largest total value deal in Dolphins history. I mean, we already knew that, right? We already knew that was the deal. So, back out there. So, while the $212.4 million figure ranks 11th among active NFL contracts, the 53.1 contract average is the second largest figure in NFL history. But Tua now ranks 4th in annual average behind Burrow, Lawrence, and Love, all who clock in at $55 million. Against the current $255.4 million cap, Tua's annual average represents about 20.79%. But again, that's the current, right? This thing is going to get restructured and reworked next year. So the current don't matter because this ain't really, kicking in until next year. Tua's new deal contains $93.171 million fully guaranteed at signing by the way of a $42 million signing bonus, his 2024 salary, 2025 salary, and $25 million 2025 roster bonus. The $93.171 million currently ranks 12th amongst all contracts, while a sub 40% total value guarantee is quite a bit less than the recent near top of the market quarterbacks contracts to hit the books. It's clear this was a major sticking point for the Dolphins amidst negotiations. Next March, his $54 million 2026 salary becomes fully guaranteed. This figure is guaranteed for injury at signing. In March 2026, $3 million of Tua's 2027 salary becomes fully guaranteed. $20 million of this salary is guaranteed for injury at signing. The remaining $17 million becomes fully guaranteed in March of 2027. This calculates to a practical guarantee of $167.1 million. The 8th most, though it should be noted that the final $17 million of 2027 salary should be considered a loose guarantee at this stage. The cash flow. Tua will earn $43.125 million in 2024, up nearly $20 million from his previous $23.171 million fifth-year option. All right? The 2-year payout comes in at $94.1 million, good enough for 5th amongst contracts, while the year 3 cash flow hands to a $149.1 million, the 3rd most, and ahead of Joe Burrow. Tagovailoa's cash flow. So in 2024, $43.125, 2025, 51, in 2026, 55, 2027, 37, and in 2028, 49.4. Of note, the Dolphins compromised on a very strong early cash flow in lieu of making the 4th year of his contract more stable for Tua. When looking at the cash per year breakdown, it's safe to assume that if all is going well after 2026, Miami will be willing to begin the renegotiation process when Tua will still be 28 years old. The salary cap hits. So here you go. On average signing bonus and minimum salary for 2024 kept his cap hit for the upcoming season extremely team friendly. It's a savings of $13.6 million from his 5th-year option salary before the extension. From there, however, the onus will be put on the front office to manage to his salary cap figures going forward. There's a juicy $25 million roster bonus that's fully guaranteed to be paid out next March. That seems like a lock to be converted to a signing bonus for cap purposes. But the 2026 financials will need to be a wait-and-see approach. If the wheels are falling off on the relationship, Miami may be inclined to keep all or most of his $54 million base salary intact rather than add more dead cap to a soon-to-be traded or released player. So here's his cap hits. In 2024, it's $9.5 million. 2025, it's $59.4. 2026, it's $63.4. 2027, it goes down to $45.4. And in 2028, it's $57.8. Here's the incentives for him, which we went over, right? 50% of the regular season snaps are required for all these incentives. But if he plays 50% of the regular season snaps and it gets a wild card win, $250K. If he plays 50% of the regular season snaps and a divisional round win, $500K. 50% of regular season snaps and a conference championship win, $500K. and 50% of the regular season snaps in the Super Bowl win, $1 million. So here's the potential out discussion. Miami was able to draw a pretty thick line in the sand after 2026 here. Even after they convert the $25 million roster bonus for next season into a signing bonus, the Dolphins will only be strapped with $34.8 million of dead cap to move on before the 2027 campaign. 2027 should be the line of demarcation for both sides here. If it's not working out, the Dolphins can and will bail. If he's still full steam ahead, Tua should be aggressively seeking a contract extension after 2026, especially with only $37 million allocated to the 2027 season. This will immediately become one of the more polarizing, closely watched contracts in 2024, as Tua's injury history and lack of playoff production kept many followers wondering if the extension should ever happen in the first place. So let's play it out this way. The Dolphins and Tua don't agree on an extension. He ends his holdout prior to week 1, earns his full $23.1 fifth-year option, plays out a $43 million franchise tag in 2025, and plays out a $51 million second franchise tag in 2026. That's 3 years, $118 million. Under these new terms, Tua is likely to earn $149 million over the next 3 seasons, plus a $3 million buyout guarantee in 2027 to get us $152 million plus. That's a difference of $34 million. Is a potential franchise quarterback for 3 seasons worth an extra $34 million in order to keep him happy, not holding out, and in the best frame of mind to produce? Most teams would say yes. So there you go. New deal could potentially be negotiated starting in 2026. So we're only a couple years away from potentially doing this all over again if we start finding some playoff success and his individual success continues to be on an upward trajectory. So huge stuff. Man, listen, I had to bring that all to the forefront. I wanted to go further into depth. I saw that article last night and I'm like, man, this breaks it down even further for people. And, Spot Track, do many people understand or do cap breakdowns better than they do? Not really. So shout out to Spot Track. Now, where are we at next? Yesterday we talked about Tyreek Hill. Well, Pro Football Talk, they dropped this and they said, why, with Tua Tagovailoa deal done, attention turns to Tyreek Hill. On Friday, Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa got a big raise. Now we'll find out whether Dolphins receiver Tyreek Hill will get a big raise, or any raise for that matter. Per source with knowledge of the situation, the Dolphins will now turn to Tyreek's deal, given that Tua's 5-year contract has been signed. It remains to be seen what the Dolphins will do, if anything. He's due to make $19.665 million this year, $22.935 million in 2025, and a phony baloney $45 million in 2026. That big final year payment artificially drove his new money average from $25 million to $30 million. One easy solution would be to move some money from 2026 to 2024. The Dolphins could also guarantee some of next year's money. The harder outcome would be an extension with a raise aimed at getting his new money average closer to Justin Jefferson's $35 million. Hill has $87.6 million in money remaining on his current deal. That means it would take a 6-year, $192.6 million contract to get Hill to a 3-year, $105 million extension. Then there's a Hill sensitivity to the possibility that if he pushes too hard for more money, the Dolphins might trade him. And so the challenge will be set aside the petty and predictable obsession with new money average and not worry about whether receivers view him as less than him as are making more money under the default new money average calculation. Can he do it? It's something to watch, especially with the most talented and impactful player on the team getting less than $20 million this year and the quarterback having a new money average of $53.1 million. So attention is turning to Tyreek as the next potential domino to fall in Miami, like we talked about yesterday on the show. So that is no new news for us whatsoever. But now it's starting to hit the news outlets. So there you go. Here's the deal. No Dolphins After Dark tonight. Obviously, we've been live here. We'll continue to cover training camp, Fin Too Deep, and the finish line will be back this week, of course. And man, I got a Patreon update coming tonight for Patreons, and I'll make a version for channel members as well. So be out on the look for those updates coming your way. A lot of content coming your way. Man, we're getting into thick of training camp. Do me the favor, smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe as we are closing in on 16K, and let's get to 20K this season, all right? So, man, I appreciate each and every one of you for taking some of your time out of your Sunday and spending it with me. Enjoy the Olympics. Enjoy whatever you got going on today, House of Dragon, whatever you got. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, man, you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day, even beyond the grave in which we'll lay. And I appreciate all of y'all. Smash that like button. Thank you so much for spending some time with me on your Sunday. Love all y'all. And I'll see each and every one of you on the next one. Take it easy, everyone.